Yo, welcome to Core's Mixed Bag. Tonight we're gonna play Chapter 5 in Call of Cthulhu, the game, 2018 game that came out. Um, so, in Chapter 5, okay, Chapter 1 was just like an introduction tutorial. Let's just get an investigation. Chapter 2, get to the island of Blackwater, where I start my investigation. Chapter 3, I go into the house of Sarah Hawkins, the person I'm supposed to investigate. She's supposedly dead, and I have to find out what's going on. Her husband, Charles Hawkins, is supposed to be dead as well, and we find out in Chapter 4, investigating in the mansion, that there's actually a cult going on in the underground of Blackwater Island and under the mansion and all that, and trying to come out of the underground, being chased by a mutated Charles Hawkins and the cult. The whole underground falls on Detective Pierce. And here's the summary here, Chapter 5 in Riverside Institute. So Pierce and Officer Bradley follow the intruder to the secret meeting place of a cult set in a network of underground caves right under the Hawkins Manor. They witnessed a strange ceremony led by a Charles Hawkins, very much alive. Bradley tried to arrest him, but Hawkins, whose body displayed various mutations, disemboweled the police officer. As he tried to escape from him, Pierce found himself prisoner of a rockfall, rushed to the Riverside Institute. He is in critical state. So there you go. So we're just gonna let the cutscene go. Just getting to the hospital. Dr. Fuller, introducing Dr. Fuller and his interesting experiments, and his favorite nurse, I guess. Alright, so cutscene's gonna continue there. It's kind of like how do you call that movie? Jacob's Ladder. Kind of a Jacob's Ladder moment here. Insanity is one of the big theme from Lovecraft books and stories. Bradley, who was killed in front of my eyes, is actually now alive. So we don't know what's going on, what's real, what's not.
Me too. We were dead. What are you doing?
Sorry, my friend.
What? No.
So that's what's going on now. The mystery grows deeper. Alright, so let's see what happens next. So I wake up in a padded cell. The gas from the Leviathan, it's intoxicating everyone. Obviously it's closed. It's locked. So Mr. Sanders is one important character that we meet here. Sanders was one of Sarah Hawkins' fan, art collector. So he bought multiple art production of Sarah Hawkins, and that drove him insane or something like that. So that's how we meet the character. I have to say, Chapter 5 is probably one of my favorite chapters in the whole game. There's Chapter 1. I think Chapter 1 is pretty not chapter 1, but chapter 2. Chapter 1 is more of a tutorial, but chapter 2 is pretty good. Because there's multiple possibilities in the chapters to go through the chapter, and chapter 5 has the same thing in it. So it's more stealth, it's more action based. There's a little bit of text sequence where or branching, text branching in there, but it's more like trying to figure out a puzzle, and I very much like the challenge in this chapter. Chapter 2 had a bit of a puzzle with trying to find a way inside the warehouse 36, and in this chapter the puzzle is pretty much finding a way out of the underground of the institute. And what's interesting with the puzzles is that there are multiple possibilities to get out of there. So this is a cutscene where Leviathan is connecting with the character here. So that piece of environment, we're gonna see it in I think chapter 13. It's near the end of it, where you understand the whole big reveal.
We don't have much time.
There's Mayor Colden, good friend of Bradley.
Can you stand up?
Who are you?
A friend of Ethan Bradley. It was he who told me that you had been interned here.
Wait. Bradley is really alive? I don't understand.
Alright, so that's the confusion.
Drugs, I can't.
That's what I like about the story. The narrative's pretty good about that. It follows the themes
Time to explain everything.
of Lovecraft. This is pretty well respected for that in that manner.
You must leave as soon as possible, and as unobtrusively as possible. I brought you your clothes. Let me go ahead. We'll meet upstairs.
Wait a minute.
Alright. I just want to go through it faster.
Door telling me that I've got to escape, and then you leave me in the lurch.
Yeah, pretty
Why
much.
shouldn't I think it's a trap? What will happen to me if I get caught by the staff?
If the nurses see you, they'll drug you, put you in a straitjacket, and strap you to your bed. You'll be at the mercy of Fuller, and I will not be able to help you anymore because I too will be in a tight spot. Ethan warned me that you were temperamental, but you'll have to trust me, Mr. Pierce. There are 2 men standing guard near the stairs. It's the only way to the floor above. I shall try to distract you.
Alright, she sets up the
Get
challenge there.
to come with me. All you need to do is to follow me as soon as the way is free.
Understood.
Alright, let's go. Let's go. So there's gonna be a little bit of a reconstruction here. I'm just gonna get through all the points. It's pretty much like connecting the character of Sanders with Sarah Hawkins.
What did they inject him with? What did he write about the painting?
And there's a piece of paper
Sarah
here.
Hawkins is on this list of authorized visitors.
Alright. Just gonna get there.
These people need care. Keep them in this terrible place as
So pretty much the exit is where she's leaving, and Dr. Fuller is standing, and I know where my goal is, so it's pretty good. The only thing is, it's simple to see where the exit is, but
I'll have to find a way of getting rid of those 2 itself.
The challenge is to use the rest of the environment to get those two guys out of the way. So that's pretty interesting. So a lot of information there. So there's 3 ways to get out of there. There's by activating this machine, this electric machine. There's this guy there. So you have 4 switch. You have to find the switch. You follow the wires of colors to do it. On the other side, you have it's a pump or something like that, and you have to activate
Control wheel to mount
it with the those wheels, like one that I just collected here. And you have the possibility of creating a distraction with this guy here by bringing him pills.
You. Yeah, you.
What do you want?
Sleep. That's all.
Sleep. You don't want to leave?
No. You see?
So I'll bring him his pills.
Fine here. Except for one problem.
You want sleeping pills, right?
Yeah.
But this guy only helps me get the distraction for
Draw the guards to your
the puzzle of the wires. So I could do that one.
Sleep, and I'll take care of the guards for you.
So it's a deal.
Find you some pills.
Go look in the storage room. There must be sleeping pills there.
Alright, let's go find some sleeping pills for him. I'll do this puzzle.
Have I activated anything?
There's a police badge somewhere around here, but you have to have leveled up the
Vats of rotten flesh.
investigation,
Worse and worse.
which, how's it called? This one, the spot hidden, to find it. So we'll just do this puzzle. So you have to wait for the guard to do his round. He's coming. He's going to go in that direction, so I can just be careful he doesn't turn around.
It's done. Now for the others.
So I have to be careful just where the door is, the window's broken, like a guy tries to grab you. There's rosaries here.
But there's no longer any priests in the dark order.
Look on this direction. So I have to get that guy distracted to get into that room over there. So we're gonna try to do that. So I need 2 things. I need to get the pills, and I need to get the keys. Both keys are here. To get in that room to activate the switch. So there's a guard over there. He's going into his round. There's a guy. I don't know, he's not standing there, so I'm gonna wait. He's right there. He goes to check out what's the soup. I find that this is like one of the only part of the game where you really feel like the stress and where you're really stealth, where you're crouching a lot. But in my opinion, it's pretty much like one of the best chapter in the whole game, due to the possibilities and the complexity. So I'm gonna wait for that guy to come back. And then I'm gonna go behind him and pretty much like walk behind. His walk pattern is not too bad. So he spotted me. He have like this icon over his head, and when that gets like yellow or red, he pretty much spotted you. So I'll just wait for him to move. So now I have a key, I can open this door.
Perfect.
No, the key doesn't actually open this door. I have to lockpick it. There's a guard that does rounds around here, but alright, he's there. Alright, so I'm gonna wait because there's something hidden on the other side. I'm just gonna go get the pills.
Where do they keep their sleeping pills?
They're right here.
My new friend's sleeping pills.
I'm just gonna wait. Oh, guy spotted me. Just gonna wait for the guy to go around the bookshelf. All right, there's my chance. Plus, there's the other wheel, so I can get that. Can spot me from distance. So with the key, I cannot open this door. Turn on the switch here.
Theoretically,
And
you got one
while
lever to push.
I'm here, I'm gonna do the puzzle with the steam or whatever gas machine.
The green gas leaves from here and it runs through. Now for the next step. This lever must turn on the gas machine.
I need those to cut the chain. So it forces me to go around through these vents. I find like that mechanic is not used much into the game. So there's
This
another
valve controls the
another
pressure.
valve. So there are 4 valves. There's another one over there. And there's this one that is missing the wheel, so I'm gonna turn it. So I need a bit of pressure for this one. Pressure's on. Pressure's on. Pressure's on. Yeah, pressure's on, so I'll pull the valve. Now I can escape by.
Hide before the guards see me.
I'm gonna go through this. Was that like panic attack or whatever, anxiety camera? I don't really see what's the point of that. It's just it forces you to not be stealth for too long. So now I can run for it. But then there's someone over there at the top of the stairs, so I take the This is all like camera is controlled automatically. So now the character goes and hide here and meets Sanders, Francis Sanders.
Is that you?
Don't you worry about the doctor. Right now.
So now we're gonna learn a little bit about a new
It gives us
threat.
something to get away. I'll undo you.
Get away? Get away where? I can't go anywhere. It'll find me, like it found me here.
We'll find out later also why the guy is blinded and where did he get his injuries.
You're Sanders, aren't you? I heard you from my cell. What did they do to you? What does Fuller want with you?
The doctor? You think it's the doctor who scares me? The doctor wants to heal me. He's the one who's crazy. He wants to restore my
I find
give me back my eyes.
the voice and the sound are like on and off.
I do not want to see it anymore.
I find there's no consistency. Sometimes like the voice is like loud and sometimes not so much. And when the guys are should be intense in their dialogues and all that, I find the volume goes down.
Legendary.
So it takes away from the dramatic.
Artist more enlightened or cursed than Sarah Hawkins.
In her office, I saw signs of a ritual, perhaps an invocation. These things, that's what makes you say she's cursed.
You're wrong. It was not an invocation, but a revocation. But she failed. And that's what counts.
What's going on this island?
I'm so sorry. We should never have met.
What are you talking about?
Destiny!
Alright.
It has trapped you.
I think that's gonna be the end very soon.
Don't look at it. That's how it finds you.
What finds me?
Sarah Hawkins' visitor.
So if
Sanders.
you appreciate it, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel so for more videos like this. Also, if you want to see me resolve the puzzle with the electric switch instead of the valve, let me know in the comments, and I'll try to get there and resolve the puzzle with the switches.
I got it.
Well, this guy got killed by some invisible force, and now I get control back on my characters, and I just like follow the path. Pretty straightforward. I find one thing that is, I don't know, one thing that makes me not enjoy the game so much is that a lot of the stuff is straightforward.
My head.
I like to have like a little bit of twists and maybe some trial and errors and stuff like that. So I already got at chapter 6, so we'll do the chapter 6 in this video, since it's not that much, it's not that long of a chapter, but it's pretty eventful. So chapter 6, Hawkins Mansion. Pierce woke up in the asylum. Installed in cellars of the Riverside Institute, he met Dr. Colden, a female friend of Bradley, who helped him to escape. Wandering through the corridors of his place, where Dr. Fuller reigned supreme, Pierce was able to talk to a man called Francis Sanders. Before dying in full view of the detective, he accused Sarah Hawkins of being the cause of his torments. Pierce finally left the cursed building, accompanied by Bradley and Colden, and the companions in misfortune decide to use the Hawkins Mansion as a hideout. Alright, and they didn't have to go around Silas, I guess. I find like what happens in the text would be an interesting part of the gameplay to make the connection. I find if you don't read that stuff, you're like, oh, okay, why are we here now? Because the cuts are very important. Like we were in an asylum, and then we're there, and before that we were in a cave that fall on the characters, and then you wake up in the institute. But if you don't read what's in between, it's kind of like
Who goes there?
a weird transition.
That nightmare again. I need a drink.
Alright, let's go. So it's gonna be like just a few dialogues, and I have to figure out a puzzle with some statues.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
So I'm just gonna go through the dialogues.
Things I can't explain.
Tell us, what happened?
It's no big deal when whatever I pick, so I'll just try to go
Francis Sanders.
through everything as fast as possible.
He's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
I didn't.
Tell him about the shambler thing.
Something was there with us.
Of what do you speak?
Sanders said it was Sarah Hawkins, visitor. He spoke of it like a living being.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders.
So the
mentioned
next
Mrs. Hawkins
element of
died.
the story that is very important is
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known architect.
when we're gonna
I
see
guess you can still pay a visit to
what's
his wife.
his wife, Iron Sanders.
Art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
He's right. We can't ignore the truth.
But it could drive her mad.
Better madness than ignorance. Very well.
Alright,
I'll go to see Francis's widow.
that's it for this
Perhaps I'll
section
find a
though.
link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
Thank you for the advice, Bradley. Alright, so it's just this dialogue, leave, and we're gonna cut into the next part of chapter 6, which is the Sanders residence. So Pierce, Colden, and Bradley decided to team up to solve the Sarah Hawkins case. They have a new trail to follow Francis Sanders, an art collector and friend of the painter, who died right in front of Pierce. The detective goes in the house in order to speak to his widow about the shambler that the unfortunate man mentioned before he died. See the cutscene.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders? I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what
So we meet that character, Kat. She's there to buy some of the art collection of Francis Sanders.
Our paths crossed.
So Irene's kind of not a big fan of the art collection, and she wants to
I
get
bump
rid of
into
some of
her
this stuff.
Every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me. You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later. Very well, Mr.
Alright, so we'll
This way, Mr. Pierce.
dialogue again.
And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much.
There's an interesting puzzle here, but you can go without doing it. The solution is always the same, unfortunately. It would have been fun to have a little bit of like randomness in there.
Yesterday, I met him at the hospital.
I'll talk about it later.
He spoke to me
So
about
this is an important part
Oh,
for getting the 4 endings in single playthrough. So we want to give her the truth, and unfortunately she will commit suicide. But
fact is that I have not been allowed to
we
see
have
him
to
since
get her in
you,
that state.
on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
So there's 2 lines. There are 2 lines that for the to achieve that. So you have to
I expected
say
to
that
find
one, I
you
think.
more grief-stricken than this by the death of your husband.
I do not like the tone of your allusion, sir. I had long months to weep every tear in my body, and to accept, if not my fate,
You have to be
that of my husband.
a bit
And so
rough
I'm
with
sorry
her.
to disappoint you if you're expecting more hysteria and grieving widow in my voice. Rest assured, however, my anger is real. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
And I have to say, it wasn't me who sent him
With
there.
all due respect, Mrs. Sanders, it was you who sent him to this asylum. Not
Torment her a little bit more
How
there.
dare you? What was I supposed to do, detective? Upon seeing such a brilliant mind disintegrate in this way, waking with a start every night with him shrieking in horror, petrified before this accursed painting, unable to look away, until he managed to gouge his eyes out with his own hands. I
That's
should
what
have listened to
happened to
Dr.
his
Cook,
eyes.
let him intern him months ago. If I am to be condemned, it is because I did not act sooner.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
So,
Did your husband
I'll just
talk to
ask
you
him
about
about the
Sarah
shamblers thing.
Shambler, to use his
I just want to have access to the art gallery.
That's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
So the shambler's
Who
a
else
painting,
could paint such
and
horrors? Take a look for yourself,
I'm gonna
if you feel so inclined.
confront
It
the
isn't something we
shambler
read at this stage.
in this second section of this
Then you
chapter.
have paid no heed. For
There's
my
also
part,
an
I
important
refuse to set
point
foot in that gallery again.
here in this
If you're so eager to see
chapter
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders.
that is
I won't be
in
long.
3 parts, which is to read the unholy books. Alright, another element that I have to accomplish for
Let's see
her
what this
to
has to
complete the
say.
torment
It's inserted.
is to listen to this wax cylinder.
I made a mistake. I fear that it might be too late for
Also, at one point in the
somebody should
during the recording, you hear piano notes.
I never had the courage.
So it's like
Do it.
a sequence
Like my head.
that I have to that I can do on the
Time
piano.
my eyelids. Each time I shut my eyes.
She's gonna go sit down
I can't
in the
bear
corner.
anymore. I can't hold him back. Forgive me.
She's gonna feel bad there.
I should never let them
What
take
have I
you away.
done? Alright, let's try to do the piano sequence. There you go.
Is this dagger part of Sanders' collection?
This is
What is
like
he seeking to acquire?
important dagger to see. Also, there's a possibility of reconstructing an element by looking at that picture, so I can go in the reconstruction phase. So I'll just try to go fast, do the teacup there.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even?
What's that book here?
Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the shambler.
Finally.
What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting?
There's the
He
painting.
finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom?
This is what the painting looks like.
She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel?
She has the same outfit as her painting of herself. Interesting.
jealous of
Probably
Sarah
love wearing the same outfit. And let's look at the painting. And this is like the gruesome part where he took off his eyes.
I need to see it.
Alright, let's go. Let's go see it. It's right around the corner. There's some doors, but there's nothing can do with them. There's
That's
cat.
twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
Well, just go. It's none of
Got
your
nothing
business.
To do with you, Baker. At least I hope not.
Bravado. And a threat. In the same sentence. I appreciate the effort, Detective.
We're just gonna
But watch your tongue.
get over that. Alright, very well.
Love and war, I suppose.
I just want to keep moving. Alright, this is an important element. I have to read this book. There's 3 books, and read the book. There are 3 books like this, and I have to read all 3 of them. There's the key. There's 1 book in library in the future chapter. It's the next chapter, and 1 book in Dr. Fuller's office or something like that. So the dagger that we're looking for is here,
Why was he so interested in old weapons?
and we're gonna need it to
The man transformed
interact
an
with the
entire
painting.
wing of his manor
So
into a
that's the shambler painting. We interact with it. We're gonna have the cutscene where the shambler comes out of the painting. So it travels through different dimensions through the paintings of Sarah Hawkins. Very dramatic event. The lighting goes down, and the painting becomes a portal for the creature to come out. Looks like the Demogorgon in Stranger Things, but that character existed before the Demogorgon. Alright, so what we have to do is just get the dagger and stab the painting with it. So that's what we're gonna try to do.
What the hell was that?
So we kind of have to go around this way. Get to the dagger. It's gonna break the glass.
Down.
Pick it up.
This dagger.
I think I have to go this way. Try not to die in the first try. And there it is. That's all you have to do. First time I did this puzzle, I didn't figure out the puzzle with the piano. I didn't know which dagger to use. But it's always the same dagger. It would have been interesting if the dagger was like, there were probably 3 possibilities of daggers and they were random, and you have to find the puzzle of the piano and figure out which one is the right dagger for this game or something like that.
What's the matter with you?
Alright, so that'll be it
Sure you'll be needing
for
that
this
help?
chapter
You're
in a
losing it.
few seconds
You're
after
right.
this
The
dialogues.
bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
It's nothing. I think I just drank too much.
That goes without saying. If you can't tell the difference between reality and fiction, then you're in real trouble.
I ran, screamed, broke a pane of glass. You were in the next room and you didn't hear a thing.
If I hadn't heard a thing, I'd still be in the other room.
Like, I'm just gonna go through this dialogue and that'll be it for tonight for this video. So if you like commented walkthrough of these sorts of games, don't hesitate to subscribe to the channel to see what else is coming. Hopefully we will get to the end of this playthrough with all 4 endings, and we will be able to see what are the endings of this game. If you have any questions or you want to know more about the game, don't hesitate to ask or comment.
The creature.
And if you want to see other or alternatives to some of the puzzle solutions that I decided to take, you want to see the other path, don't hesitate to ask, and I can always take a look and try to reproduce the alternative solution to some of the puzzles that there exists in this game. So that'll be it. Alright, thanks a lot for watching, and we will look at chapter 7 and maybe chapter 8 in another video. Alright, thank you. Have a good night.